Stock splits, they have been the rage in 2024, but is there a way where you can see stock splits coming? Is there a tool or a resource or something that you can use to see what stock splits are coming around the corner? The answer is yes. I have two of them that I'm going to break down for you. One of them can make you some money, and it's really about to make me some money too. Let's go ahead and break it down. So first, let's quickly break down what a stock split is, how they tend to make people money, and also the limitations of a stock split as well. So first, and I say this every time that we talk about stock splits, they are cosmetic, okay? They appear to make the stock a bit cheaper. They do not actually change the value of your investment. It is a psychological advantage, if you will. It makes a stock, again, appear to be cheaper. So for example, if I have one share for $200 and a company does a 2-for-1 stock split, I will then have two shares for $100. I still got $200 in either case, okay? Nothing really changed for my own value. However, to other investors, they can say, oh wait, that appears to be cheaper. Well, now I want to buy. And then someone else wants to buy, and that may push the company higher. And you might be thinking, well, that doesn't really make sense. What happened to me? Okay, so for example, this was 2017, maybe 2018-ish, way back when I lived in New York. I actually did a video way back on Facebook, and I was talking about shares of Amazon, and back then Amazon was like $3,000, whatever it was back then, and for some reason I just felt that $3,000 was too expensive for Amazon, as if there was some ceiling that Amazon just couldn't hit. And I remember it being $2,500, it was $2,900. I was like, oh, just $3,000, it'll never go past that. Like it's just too expensive for Amazon. It's just not a place that a stock should be. And then it did a stock split eventually, as you guys know, and that's not something that I worry about anymore. That's the power of a stock split. Did the value of the company truly change? I mean, not really, right? Now, the company has grown since then, obviously, but now that it's a 3-digit number, it's just not something I truly worry about in the same way that I did back then. Just didn't feel the same. I mean, I look at a stock that's $800, I'm like, oh, well, when it hits 1,000, something special is going to happen, when in reality it doesn't. There is nothing that truly happens once it hits a specific number. We've talked about that in stock split videos before. But there is, again, a psychological effect. So that is one reason why psychologically people may feel like they want to get in. It gets them back in the news, and people do tend to buy more often than not. So if you happen to own shares and they do have a split, you may start to see that company start to rise. We have seen this with Walmart. We have seen this with Chipotle. We have seen it with several companies in the past. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen, again, more often than not. Another reason why it can be profitable for you is due to a strategy, an investing strategy. I would say it's medium to advanced, called covered calls. Now, I've done this a few times on the channel. I did a very deep dive detail on how I made thousands of dollars using covered calls. But when a stock gets cheaper, it is easier for us regular investors to buy 100 shares or more. If you're curious on how that worked and the whole background process, you can check out this video right here on how I did it. And again, when the stock gets cheaper due to a stock split, boom, it may be easier for you to buy a group of shares to do that, or more shares rather, for you to do that. And for thousands of other investors, it could be a lot less expensive. So for example, going back to Amazon, if you need a minimum to do cover calls, a minimum of 100 shares. The average person does not have enough money to buy 100 shares of a company at $3,000 per share. We ain't got that, bruh. Not the average person. I mean, go back to companies like Chipotle. No, that is not something that is normal. Go back to NVIDIA, who did a stock split recently. No, that is not normal. However, right, when they do a stock split and it's $150, all right, you might be onto something, right? So that is how other people get more excited. So it's not just, it appears to be less expensive. It's also, hey, now I can do something extra that I was not able to do a year or two ago, or just yesterday in some cases. So that is how you may be able to make more money and why it can be so exciting. So what are the tools? The first is one you may have heard of, and that is Yahoo Finance. However, there is a stock split calendar, which is a feature that I don't think enough people use. What are the pros and cons? Pros, It's very visual. I am a visual learner. I like looking at stuff. But the pro, again, is I can go by week. I can just easily switch months and say, hey, what's happening this month? What's happening this week? And it tells you day by day. There are 7 splits happening this day. There are 20 splits happening this day. And I can just click and see what's happening and just go day by day. The good thing too is I can click on it and it's going to take me to that stock chart, and I can just learn so much more about that specific company if I care about that specific company. Now, I use a specific word, if I care, because there's a lot of junk on that particular tool, because Yahoo Finance pulls in all types of stocks. Now, if you are watching this channel, you likely care about the NASDAQ, that's the stock exchange primarily for tech companies, or the New York Stock Exchange. That's pretty much all the other stocks listed in the US. Yahoo Finance pulls every single stock from every single corner of the planet and unknown galaxies, it feels like. And those aren't stocks that you can invest in, at least not for my audience and not on my app, and usually for people in the US, Canada, and the few people who are watching from the UK. Shout out to y'all. All 7 of y'all that watch this channel, I appreciate y'all. But we can't invest in those stocks. And there are, again, of the 20 stocks that may do a stock split on a specific day, it may be 1 or 2 that you care about. And it can be very, very messy and kind of convoluted. So what is the other tool that is even better? So this is a tool I came across when doing research for this video, and it is Tickergate. And this is the one that I got really excited about, because a company that I own was doing a stock split that I did not know about. So it's a free site, both of them are free, and it just gives you a very simple guide. All it does is just take everything for the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ, and there aren't that many stock splits. And that's the thing that's also really cool. You don't really get a sense of how many stock splits are out there. They don't happen all the time every day, which is good, right? Because that's a whole lot of things to keep track of. But it just simply tells you, here's what's happening. When there's something that is announced, it'll get added to that list, and boom. That's all I needed to know. And I noticed that Decker Outdoors, the company I just bought just a few weeks ago, is also doing a stock split in September. Now, I'll be honest with you. I should have just read more, because I'm like 90% sure that if I bought the company in June, they likely announced it around June, because they usually tell you months in advance. Okay, now I need to go back and read, and maybe I just missed that line. Either I did not do enough research and just missed the fact that they announced it, or they just announced it after the fact. So one of those 2 things happened. I'm going to put it on myself and say I just missed the research. But it is a company I like. It is a company we talked about very briefly on several of our lists, and they just happened to be doing a stock split later. So I've gotten extremely lucky, because we talked about Chipotle a year ago. Chipotle had done well. They did a stock split. We talked about Lam Research Corp almost a year and a half ago. They did well. They happened to be doing a stock split. And now Decker Outdoors, we talked about at least a minimum of about a month and a half ago. And now they are doing a stock split. So if you want to learn more about stock splits and what other companies I think are going to do stock splits next, this is the video that you want to check out next.